Welcome back to another edition of the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45. We got the real Luis Ortega in the building. We got Cheetah 747. What's going on, fellas? How you doing tonight, Cheetah?
Good man. Another day, another dollar. That's how I'm thinking today. It was a good weekend, man. I was busy all week, so it's just been in that mode of go go go.
Yeah,
But it was
yeah.
fun to catch up on the races, man, over the weekend. Definitely.
That's what's up. I hear you about being busy. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. How about yourself, Lewis, man? How's
Same
it
here,
going?
man. Busy weekend, but it was a good time. Got a lot of done. Got to see some good racing this weekend. MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, Moto America. So good balance of work and play.
Nice. I like that. Same here. And well, let's jump into it. Let's talk about qualifying in MotoGP. Before qualifying, a lot of crashes. Marquez, jacked himself up a couple of times. Some riders went down there. What are your thoughts on the 12 guys in qualifying? And is it safe to say that Quartararo might get a lot more poles before the year is over?
Dude, he's got a lot of those Tissot watches, doesn't he? Like at this point, so
For
he's
this
racking them
year.
up for sure. So once again, he's showing that he's definitely deserves that seat on Yamaha more than anyone. He's the top dog there. And Pecco was able to get in second, Alex in third. But I think what happened is you saw Mark over. I think he overthrew turn one going into one of those laps, and that was his last chance at getting pole over there. But Mark's just insane, man. I mean, we can talk about the race in a minute, but him going into those couple of crashes he had weren't easy on him, man. He had that messed up jaw and he looking like Crimson Chin, if y'all remember Crimson Chin. you know, but like he really, I remember back in the day when he was on, I think in early in the Honda days, he had another crash like that on Moto 2 where he had his chin fucked up or messed up rather. So yeah, man, it's crazy to see people push through that, but that just goes to show you like sometimes we don't see those crashes and we don't see the effects of it, but physically seeing damage on him like that really goes to show this man really got in a battle with the ground, like he
Right, right.
really tossed and tumbled, and it's like fighting, man. You don't see that until you see physical damage sometimes. You don't realize. So yeah, it was intense.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Lewis?
It was good. I mean, the first free practice, I had to go back and like watch it a couple of times because I was like, did nobody go out? Why is Raul Fernandez like
One of the fast guys.
one of the fastest guys? And then I kind of realized, oh, okay, it kind of everything balanced out. I think Quartararo's got at least three more poles in him, just knowing the tracks that are coming and what he can do at some of those tracks. It just sucks that the bike doesn't have the race pace to do that for a race distance. You can pull out, like we've said it before, you can pull out a magic lap out of your ass and get an incredible pole and get a nice watch. But I'm sure he'd trade in all those watches if he can stand on that top step, man.
Yeah.
And you can't stand on the top step if you're riding at 150% of what the bike is even capable of doing.
Do you guys think that V4 motor for Yamaha is the way to go? They've tested it already. You have an idea why you think the holdup is for them not using that engine and rolling it out? Because this can't feel good for Quartararo being able to get on pole and just can't, fight during the race.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and guess. I mean, no one has that insider knowledge, I would say, to say what exactly is holding him up. But if it looks like testing is going well for them, I mean, I would hope to see it sometime before the end of the season. But so we've talked about this before. They may not bring it out till next season and may just bring it in maybe a wild card situation or like maybe testing situations only. So I mean, but hopefully he gets what he needs because he's a top dog for sure and a true top rider.
Yeah, I think in the class, I think him and Mark are the leaders of the class in whole in talent. I think Quadraro and Mark can out talent everybody else in the entire field. It's Mark is it's in a better position because he's in a better bike, and Quattararo is in Mark's old position when Mark was on an inferior bike. He's trying to outride the limitations of the bike. And unfortunately, you can't do that all the time. You can get away with it here and there. I mean, even Mark had a few glimmers of brilliance on the Honda in the last couple of years, but same with Quartararo. He's had a few glimmers of brilliance, but you can't sustain that when you have to ride outside your skin and hope that the bike can kind of do what you're asking it to do, which it can't. It just can't. It's they need something because I don't see Quartararo staying with the Yamaha much longer if his career is going to be visiting a lot of kitty litter at countries all around the world. Like, he's too damn good for that. And another company will come along and be like, hey, we got this little Brinks truck over here. Just jump inside and grab as much as you want. And by the way, our bike's better than Yamaha's.
Right. What are your guys' thoughts on Bagnaia? He qualified in Q2. Qualified second position, and he's the first Ducati. Did you guys think that this might be the track where Bagnaia might come out on top, just based on seeing what he did in Q2, or you just figure he got lucky?
I mean, I think he was showing himself out, like we spoke about. Like Lewis said, anyone can do one lap, a solid on softs. He did the same thing at Mugello. The whole time he was having trouble in practice and free practice, and then he goes into quali, and suddenly everything feels fine, and he's got that soft on the bike, and suddenly it's working like that. But come race time, it goes back to normal. What I think is, I was hoping for a good sprint situation. He did perform better in the race. Hopefully he didn't finish the sprint and go straight to a tattoo parlor to get that tattoo removed, but he did wait it out till Sunday at least to see how he did. So, I mean, we got more to see. Let's see how Saxon Ring goes, because I think that's next, right? We're going to Germany.
Yep.
Weeks.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, in qualifying, if you look, I think it was the top 11 or the top 12 were all within 1 second of each other, and some of them were within like less than a tenth of each other. So there was a lot of stacked talent in the front. But again, this is that one lap, put the qualifying tires on, the stickiest rubber that I can get, go out there with the lightest fuel load and try to rip, 3 fast laps and see which of those laps gets me somewhere. Again, that's not a true race condition. I mean, that gets you in the best position to be competitive when the race hits, because you don't want to start from the 5th row and try to get through, especially on this track. This track is very narrow and has a lot of fast, narrow turns. So there's not a lot of great positions where you're going to outbrake somebody without doing some kamikaze. So it did help him. But then once the race pace hit, and now you had to do this kind of race pace for a long distance, that's when you started to see him, kind of struggle, start falling back, try to crawl himself back a little bit. Unfortunately, Alex Marquez had his incident with Pedro Acosta, and that cost Alex that. And even Pedro, once the KTM kind of lost its grip and everything, he ended up where he was at. So, realistically, Pecco, I'm not going to say he got gifted a third, but I think if Alex hadn't had his incident, I think it would have been Alex and Pecco fighting for third versus Pecco just kind of maintaining the distance between himself and Acosta and ending up in third.
Gotcha. All right. How about Bezzecchi? I mean, I had him as somebody that could have won the race, a second and a third place. Pretty impressive for Aprilia. And in the main race, I mean, he was right there with Mark. He couldn't get around him, but I mean, I think this is the first rider that we've seen put pressure on Mark the last 3 laps of a race.
Yeah, for sure. I think I didn't expect that at all. Coming, especially in the sprint, the way he did. I mean, for those few laps, I just sat there thinking, like, is he going to pass Alex and Mark right now with the pace he's bringing? It was really fast, man. And all of a sudden, somewhere in the sprint, it evened out. It evened back out, and he stayed in that steady third that he finished in. And even in the race, man, I mean, he just has that extra gear at this track or something. But that Aprilia seems to be coming together for him. And I mean, I wouldn't have bet who would have finished in second. Was it Alex or Bez for the race if Alex hadn't gone down? That's how good Bez was riding there. So very impressive by him.
Gotcha. And I mean, I think Alex was in 4th place fighting for 5th with Pecco when he went down. So
yeah.
He was kind of backsliding a little bit. But go ahead, Lewis.
Marco Bezzecchi put on a great show, both in the sprint and in the race. In the sprint, he definitely, again, a truncated race. So you get to burn your tires a little more. So you don't really have to conserve. You don't have to really pace yourself. You can just go full throttle because you only have half the distance. And you know that if you manage the tires, you can go 20 plus laps. If I don't manage the tire, who cares? I only have 11 laps. Let me burn the rubber to the steel threads and see what I can do. He had great pace. He got close to the two guys in the front, and then it kind of just settled into that. I can't really get them. They're pushing. I'm pushing. I'd rather bring it home on the box than in a box. So let me just stay with third. And then on Saturday, he had really great pace. He got past a lot of guys. Like he did, he didn't have as many guys to get through. Like he didn't start from 18th place to finish 5th. So that was good for him. But the one thing that did happen in that race that hopefully now will shut all these sofa mutants up is when he got behind Mark managed him from the front.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people that are saying that, Alex just sits behind his brother. Alex doesn't try to pass him. Alex isn't trying to be. It's not that. You got a guy that's a beast in front of you. Catching Mark and passing Mark are two different animals. And as the tires go down, passing him becomes even harder because if you looked at the race, you can see the slinky effect. Mark knew where he was slower, so he would gap him where he was faster.
Yep.
He knew he was going to lose that gap where he was slower, and then he would gap him again where he was faster. Coming out of that last chicane to come on a front straightaway, Bezzecchi looked like, he's about to make a lunge. And then coming out of that, Mark's like 10 bike lengths in front. Like, dude, how did you get 10 bike lengths in a kink?
And
you're supposed to go slower.
Yeah, and he passed Pecco in that corner and Acosta, I believe.
And Mark, again, this guy is so intelligent. Not only is he talented, he literally was like, I know how fast Bezzecchi is in that corner. So that means he's studied everybody's data. He's seen where everybody has strengths and weaknesses and understands every opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And when it's time to race and he knows who's behind him, he somehow goes in his memory and is like, all right, I know they're fast in turn 11, 12, 13. I know they struggle here, struggle there. I'm faster here, if there. I don't need to look back. I can manage this just by looking on my board and seeing what the time is and understanding what I need to do to maintain them there. And the dude's a beast, man. So for everybody that thinks that Mark's just letting him win, like nobody lets anybody win. If you understood how much money is at stake between second place and first place, you would just shut your mouth, man. It's ridiculous.
And I would say I was going to say that what won him the race, his intelligence or just his ability to ride the bike. And you kind of answer that, which is I think to me it's his intelligence in this weekend, because he wasn't the fastest guy this weekend, and he didn't get the best start. He didn't get a bad start, but he didn't start out in first place. But he figured out how to get there, and once he was there, he just used his smarts to manage that. And Pecco was good at doing that last year. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, this year it's a little bit story. What are your thoughts on Raul Fernandez? I mean, I still think this could be a digi in 2021 and 2 where he saved his career, because Raul is riding at Aprilia really nice too.
Yeah. Something happened in the sprint, right, where they Morbidelli and him clashed.
I know Oliveira.
No, Agura.
Oliveira.
Oliveira.
I think it was Oliveira on the in the. I gotta look at this.
No, Fernandez.
No, it was Fernandez and
Morbidelli touched him.
And was it Morbidelli? I think
I was just like Morbidelli, man, again, and it was, yeah.
Because he went down. Oh, because he went down in the sprint. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that happened, but yeah, I mean, he's looking pretty good. I mean, right? There's only a few Aprilias to compare to, right, at this point, but.
It's them two right now, because Ayagura was kind of doing all right until he broke his leg. So I mean, so those are the two, and it looks like Bezzecchi is the reference.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to say about that, but I mean, I think he may or may not have that shot at next year again with Aprilia. I don't know, because it's going to go year by year for him at this point.
Yeah. Well, he has a 2-year contract still, so
it goes till 27 or 26.
The 26. Okay. He has to renew for 27 or find a new job. But if his teammate is still Agura and he keeps performing Agura, then you kind of do secure your job at that point, as long as you're better than your teammate. Very few teams get rid of the number one rider on the team, even if they're not at the top level. But a top 10 for Raul Fernandez is great. you know, at least for his career, for his confidence. Because I mean, he started this year, and the way he was riding, it seemed like he had no confidence in himself, and the bike, and the tires, and anything. And now in the last couple of races, he started to put some stuff together, started to qualify a little bit better. Isn't finding the kitty litter as much without Morbidelli's help or somebody else's help. Morbidelli he should put a patch on his back says this way to the kitty litter, because he's going to put you in the rocks.
Was it, I forget, was it the sprint race or the main race he had the long lap penalty?
Main race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
It was him and Digi, right?
Him and DG.
That's when he got that. Yeah, and he was like, they weren't let. I remember the commentators being like, "Yo, let him by, man!" Like pretty much being like, "Yo, you're not letting him by. Go do the long lap." And he
again, there is a big difference in pay between one spot and the other. Every spot you have is a little bit more coin in your pocket, and this is not my job to let you go by me.
Right, but I think for Morbidelli, if he was smarter, and we've seen, I think Lorenzo and Marquez do this. Oh, Marquez do this last year. He should have let him go. He should have let him go, because he had enough space between the guys behind him that it wouldn't have mattered. But he had a chance to at least finish in front of Digi instead of doing that long lap penalty, because he just had to just fall back a position. And I think I'll lose a second, I think.
Yeah, he only lost one. I mean, going through that particular long lap, I think it adds like 1.8 seconds if you do it like spot on.
Right.
And if you look at the way he did it spot on, and it dropped him back like maybe a second, you know? And he finished in that same spot. It's not like he went any further back, because there was such a big gap from that spot, you know. But again, it's sometimes it's that fighting mentality that, like, I don't want to let anybody go by, especially my teammate.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think it was combined, the fact with the LLP, the long lap penalty right there in that lap while they were saying that. Other than that, yeah, Lewis is right. You don't let somebody by just because they're your teammate, or, you know, they can have a chance at doing anything points wise. Or
have you guys gonna see the Formula One movie?
Have you seen it?
Yes.
My brother saw it and told me to see it.
In the movie, that Brad Pitt and his teammate are going neck and neck, and they end up crashing. And he's like, you know, the teammate came over. He's like, "Oh, you didn't let me pass." He's like, "It's not my job. I don't let anybody pass."
Yeah.
Teammate or not, I don't let anybody pass. You got to earn your pass.
Okay.
And same thing, man. In racing, you know, unless you have a mechanical issue or something where you can cause yourself injury or somebody else injury, you do everything you can to keep the guy behind you.
Right.
No, it's going to be tough, because I think Morbidelli is he's definitely shooting himself in the foot like every round. He gets like, you know, one step forward and two step backwards with these action, and hopefully he'll sort. And this carried over from last year too. So again, at least this year's a little bit better. But he seems to get into weird situation. Let's talk about Yamaha with Oliveira, because he had went off in the race. This guy has so much bad luck. That like he can't even finish a weekend.
Yeah, how did Oliveira go out?
Oh, but that's with Ayagura.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, in the beginning, right?
That's with that was with Ayagura.
Yeah, man, that's unfortunate for him. What can you do? I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't even know what to say for that. Ogura clashed him. Ogura didn't go down though, right?
Yeah, he went down.
He went down.
Went down. Yeah. Oliveira stayed up.
No, he went down too. He was out. Oliveira was out. Mayer was out. Aldeguer was out. Alex and Salvadori.
Yeah,
Aldeguer went out in that high side later. But yeah, I forget how Oliveira went down. But it's unfortunate, man. Like, what can you do? It was getting really crazy in that track had some weird stuff going on even in the beginning, right? Like they were saying it was cold and hot temperatures or something weird with the temperature. We saw the high sides, like the rear would come around, but then the front looked like it was having a lot of chatter. With the Gura's crash, I remember that. And that's just like a sign. Chatter is a sign of too much grip. So I don't know what that means when that happens at those kinds of tracks. They couldn't get that dialed in, and then all of a sudden, of course, that's the biggest challenge of GP. That's why it's so interesting to see. Like, we see the winners and the losers, but they've had to battle in their own challenges so much. Like they have to battle with tire pressures, everything going on with the body, the physical changes, the characteristics, when the temperature changes, the tire changes. Mark is just able to deal with that in such a deadly way that he knows every strategy, everything in the book,
right?
And he knows mental games. So I mean, it's just wild, man. It's a fun game to watch. I love this thing. I think I got sidetracked on that one.
No, no worries. We're talking
No, that's
about
good.
Oliveira's misstep, but I might as well add Lewis. I mean, Jack Miller's looking pretty good. I mean, if there's a guy that trying to save a seat, this is another guy that's he's like the second Yamaha right now.
Yeah, he's the second Yamaha, but I think it's a little. I think it's a little too late for him. Like again, I still believe in my heart of hearts that his future lies outside of MotoGP. I mean, he still might get a ride in MotoGP for next year, but as an actual fan of Jack Miller's, I would prefer to see him on a competitive bike and World Superbike versus racing for 14th or 15th place in MotoGP. I don't think as a competitor you wake up every Sunday, put on that helmet, and be like, "Oh, I can't wait to come in 14th place."
Yeah.
Because my bike sucks and this sucks, and and I got guys that are 14 years younger than me, finishing 7 spots ahead of me, and like I think if I don't know what his management is thinking. If he gets another opportunity to stay in GP, and if it's for more than a year, I would take it. If it's an opportunity to stay in GP and it's only a 1-year contract, but you can get yourself a 2-year contract in World Superbike, go to World Superbike, man. Like he's a super talented rider and he's a fan favorite. Fans all over the world like this guy. The dude is super personable. He loves to be in the crowd. He loves to entertain the audience. So give him an opportunity to go to World Superbike where the paddock is a little bit less restrictive than the GP paddock. It's a little bit more of a family environment and where he can kind of just be himself, be natural, enjoy himself, and try to fight again for that podium spot, man, because you're not going to do it on the Yamaha, at least not right now. If Quartararo can't do it on a routine basis, you're not going to do it.
Right. Yeah. I can see that. Let's talk about KTM because Acosta, man, and Vinales, as you mentioned earlier, between Alex and Acosta, like Acosta's looking really good on that KTM, even though they're struggling towards the end of the race. Do you guys think that we can see the KTM starting to stay closer to the top 6?
Yeah, for sure. I think Acosta's looking really strong now. But I mean, I feel like it comes and goes for him. In the beginning, it was there in the beginning of the season, and then now it's coming back a little bit. But I mean, it's almost like what would these guys do on a solid bike, right? KTM's coming back, but it's like, man, the bike's probably holding them back. And I think we're all holding our breath till 2027, where all these manufacturers get that good reset and get some good tires on their bikes, like some Pirellis, and really see how this takes off. But yeah, man, Acosta's looking solid. Vinales is looking good. He's staying consistent in that top 6, top 7. So I mean, they're doing KTM good service right now for sure.
I think Marquez said it best in the press conference. You got to respect all the other riders. Every last one of them is trying to win.
Yeah. Every last one's trying to win. But here's the thing about KTM, man. It's like they are trying so many different things out to reduce those issues they're having. I wonder if they're ever going to settle down on a certain setup, because every track is a different setup. They're always trying and testing new things. Every bike looks different. If you look at the practice videos where they're showing the bike's tail and everything like that, they got different fins and everything. So it's like, man, I wonder if they're ever going to settle down and maybe trust one of those two riders between Vinales or Acosta and be like, this guy's going in the right direction. Let's listen to him a little more. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's what I heard. They're saying after the last couple of rounds, they switched Pedro's setup to Vinales' setup.
Okay.
Which would make sense because Vinales is the most veteran rider on that team that's also ridden the most equipment of anybody on that team. Like he's ridden everything on 2 wheels that MotoGP has to offer, except like even the scooters in the paddock. Yeah. Like he's been on Yamaha, he's been on Suzuki, he's been on everything, Aprilia, so at this, Aprilia. So at this point, like he is the guy you should be listening to. And KTM definitely needs to stop throwing so many things at the wall and hoping something sticks. Like, hey, you got Vinales. Yeah, he's a little bit of a head case sometimes, but the dude is fast. The dude's been on fast bikes and he's won on fast bikes. And if anybody you're going to listen to, that's the guy you should, be the guy to listen to. I wouldn't listen to Binder because Binder is going backwards. Bastianini.
Bastianini's looking good. Finished
Bastianini is outperforming Binder this weekend.
Yeah.
So, those two guys can battle it out in the teens, but if there's a guy that's consistently in the top 10, like Vinales, follow that path. Stop throwing so many things at the wall. Try to narrow the focus down. Let's see what happens if we give Vinales a setup to everybody and then work off of that setup to keep developing the bike. Don't try to every weekend come with a new tail section, a new aero package in the front, a new this, a new, like, stop it, man. Like, you're killing time and your guys are just going around burning tires and gas.
Last but not least, Honda. I mean, I was on that Zarco train, man. I was on that Zarco train, and like even he's back-to-back rounds, he's struggling in Mir. It looks like he didn't finish either race. I mean, like that can't feel good.
No, definitely not, man. I'm surprised Chantra finished behind him because he was in front of him at one point in the race or the sprint. I forget where. But yeah, it's not looking good. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's just like certain tracks favor them. I think we've talked about this, right? Like the top speed is still a thing, right? So I don't know, man. It's I think it'll come. Their time is coming. I think a lot of different manufacturers are going to have the great reset, and I keep saying that. But me and a couple buddies this morning, we were even talking about this. We were talking about where is the Ducati going? Is Ducati going to dominate? We were talking about Honda's going to pull out the money, right? They're going to pull out the money for Martin because Honda has the money, but they're in this position where they don't have to do that, right? They're still going to get this reset. They're going to get the tire reset, and at the end of the day, Martin on this, that's a whole nother story, by the way. He's lost some stock. He's lost value there. Who knows if he'll even get out of that contract, but we'll see. Because apparently he didn't meet that clause that allows him to do that. So
we'll see. I can't see how, because he only had one race.
Right.
But and I can't imagine that Aprilia would have it just one way.
I don't think so. No, I mean, they would want to keep that rider, but then you got this bad energy. Now you're going to put him back on the bike, and I mean, the latest thing was he's declared unfit again for Sachsenring. So, is he getting fake doctor's notes out here, man?
Maybe.
I would claim PTSD, man. I mean, I think he has some trauma from Ducati not signing him to the factory seat. He's gone crazy, because he's. From us looking at it, or from myself looking at it, it looks like he's he's really hurting himself.
No one else. Yeah.
So those are your thoughts on KTM, I mean Honda, and is Martin,
Honda is sad because they've shown the same thing, glimmers of brilliance here and there. Zarco has shown some glimmers. Even the last round or two, like Mir has been a little bit more consistent. I mean, Marini is the only one that is really the most inconsistent. He just can't finish races, and then he's been injured, and everything else is going on. Like Marini is the one that's most at risk. I know Honda is struggling to find that path that'll work at every track. So maybe this particular track just wasn't a Honda track. It didn't really benefit the strengths of the current model Honda. But we're going to Sachsenring next. We'll see what happens there. I think Sachsenring is going to be actually a good track for Yamaha because you don't have a lot of long straightaways. You have a lot of fast sweeping turns. This is where the Yamaha excels. And, the one thing that sets the Yamaha and the Ducati apart is the stability of the braking of the Ducati. Always seems to outperform the Yamaha. But again, I think this next track is going to be a Yamaha track. And maybe Honda can be at least in the top 10 with somebody. I mean, this weekend, they didn't have anybody in the top 10, which is, sad in the race to not see a Honda in the top 10. But at least we still had a good mix. That's like I've always said, I like the mix. I want to see Aprilia. I want to see KTM. I want to see Ducati. And that's what we got this weekend. We got a bunch of different manufacturers all up in the top 5, which is great to see. It wasn't a Ducati lockout in the top 4 or 5.
Yeah. And let's just talk about the overall race in general, as you mentioned that, because it was one of the more competitive races for the top 8 guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. This past weekend, the top 7-8 guys. I mean, I wanted to be a little bit more competitive, a little bit longer. I think when we got to lap 13 is when all of a sudden, like, the train broke apart, and fourth and fifth really drifted further back, and then sixth and then after that, it just became like a long parade,
managing the gap.
Yeah, but for the first, I want to say 8-9 laps, I mean, you had a serious freight train of like 8 or 9 bikes that were all within like a second of each other.
Yeah.
And again, it's this track kind of induces that because of the way the track's laid out, but it also causes a problem because it makes it really difficult to pass. And you saw people making questionable passes in questionable areas. And that's how Alex Marquez ended up in the kitty litter, because that's not a great place to pass. Everybody's battling for this credit card with spot with bikes that are wider than the credit card, and you're going to get contact. And unfortunately, it looks like what happened is his brake lever got contacted, locked up the front brake, the tire went down, and, we'll see what his injury is going to be. They're saying some people are saying it's a pinky, other people are saying it's the palm. Right. Either way, I hope he can get back on board soon, because the last thing you want to do is give Mark 2 races to get maybe 50 points on you.
No,
or more with the sprint.
Right. I saw somewhere where they're talking about Alex doesn't try to make those kind of passes on Mark compared to other riders. Do you felt in that moment Alex probably should have not try to ride around Acosta?
Around Acosta, that was such a tough section, man. It's like where the track goes, you're leaned left and you're about to flick back right. It's kind of like a straightaway, but it's leaning that way right. And there's that little rumble strip that everyone tries to get right real close to going right. And we're all trying to get through that one little credit card patch, almost like Lewis said, of like 4 feet wide. It's really, you're trying to fit 2 bikes in that section, and no one wants to let off, because the next corner you're breaking into from a straight line, right? In almost. So everyone wants to get that section, and it was just aggressive. It was almost unfortunate that happened. Maybe the brake guard lever wasn't positioned correctly for the lean angle they were at, where it touched. Right. Maybe it flicked up, maybe it was loose, who knows? But yeah, it was just a weird crash, is what I thought. When I saw it, I was like, man, I know his front didn't lock up for no reason. I knew it was a brake lever crash, but yeah, just didn't expect.
When I saw it, I thought the front wheel came off the ground and grabbed the brake and locked up and came down and went out. But when they did the replay, kind of like from overhead, it's possible that Acosta could have touched the brake lever.
Right. There's one video from Acosta's onboard camera that is probably the clearest video, where you can see that Alex's right hand handlebar hit either Acosta's elbow or Acosta's arm. And caused that lock. Like it's onboard video from the KTM. That's the clearest video where you can see the hand where it makes contact with his arm or something, or his elbow. But either way, man, it sucks because, again, this track is super narrow. Alex had the inside line when they were going through the left, and he thought that Acosta was going to give up the inside line to the right. And Acosta wasn't giving up the inside line to the right. And, again, 2 guys fighting. It's just a racing incident, 2 guys fighting for the same real estate. And it happens, I'm glad that the stewards didn't try to penalize Acosta or anything, because, again, that's a race incident, man. That, it wasn't a T-bone. It wasn't anything like that. It's just 2 guys battling for that spot. And you don't want to discourage guys from doing that, because then it's going to become really, really boring, where you can't touch anybody. At that point, I'll just start watching the NBA again.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's not. Let's jump into Moto2. Diego Moreira, the first Brazilian, they're saying, but isn't Frankie sort of half Brazilian? But to win the Moto2 race, pretty impressive. Aaron Canet blames it on a cracked windshield. I don't know if either you guys saw the replay, that the windshield just cracked on its own on the straightaway, and just caused them to lose some tenths and caused them to race. I mean, Aaron Canet he's missed the second place.
Well, I didn't get a chance to catch that race, but I'll let Lewis go.
No, I know there was some damage to his windshield. I don't know exactly how it happened or when it happened. I did see that there was damage to his windshield. I actually thought it was either debris or something, or him getting mad and punching the windshield because he's done that more than a few times.
Yeah.
Get a better windshield, man. What can I tell you? That's what you got a visor on your helmet for. Tuck in and do what you got to do. You don't lose that many tenths.
That's what he's saying. He's saying it messed up. I mean, and then, they got their lap timers on board. They can tell the aerodynamics of it just a little bit. But it was a very close race all the way through. And, I mean, Canet led the race for the whole part. I feel bad for that guy because, if it's the windshield or just getting bullied out the way, and he was talking trash to Diego because of the previous weekend. Yeah. And so, he takes the L to Diego. So that can't feel good after you've been talking trash, man. You can't, you gotta be Michael Jordan or keep him up shut.
Yeah. I think you should, for every time he talks trash and loses, he should remove one tattoo. And I see how much of a clear skin he gets, because he does like to talk a lot of trash, but sometimes he backs it up, but sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah. Can I just say this though, on a separate subject, just thinking about all this we've been talking about. I mean, I partly probably due to the podcast too in some ways, but I feel like Liberty Media is doing a phenomenal job right now with MotoGP, and just you constantly see record crowds everywhere, right? We're seeing that, and that has to be a result of their marketing genius on Instagram, on social platforms, just pushing certain, we're seeing certain celebrations, certain interviews, certain styles they're introducing to this year that they had never had before they owned it. I feel like it's almost trickling down to Moto America too, in some ways. There's getting more interest there to watch that. And it's a good thing to have racing almost coming back alive to where now they're breaking records. We were at one point talking about, man, is racing dying? Are we going to lose viewership? So I just want to say that, man. It's definitely good to see that.
I agree. Over 200,000 people came out for the weekend, and which is pretty impressive. And yeah, Liberty Media Group, I think, is doing a phenomenal job. Their stock is just $95 today, so people are liking what they're doing. Formula One, I think, was this past weekend as well. Which is pretty dope because, from the outside, when companies and things we see this, we were seeing it now with the Lakers and the Mavericks and their changes that are happening in basketball. Just to talk about basketball a little bit, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen when new owners come in and they get the majority and they get to say if they're going to make it as entertaining as possible or is it going to get dry. And so far it's been pretty wild. So I can't wait, can't wait to see what else they do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think overall, I don't know if it's a mix of social media, if it's a mix of like some of the new content that's come out in the last couple of years. If it's, seeing Marquez kind of revitalize his career after that Amazon Prime show that came on about, what happened to him. I think Liberty Media did the same thing with Formula One. They created a whole new type of content. They put it on different platforms so that people don't just watch the race. People understand the lives and everything that goes behind the curtain, because that's where we have a disconnect in motorcycle racing. Is somebody will watch motorcycle racing and any racing, but you can't connect to the people inside the helmets. You're not as invested. And if you look at the people that are invested in motorcycle racing, they're either invested in the bikes or they're invested in the riders or they're invested in a combination of both. And to get new people into the sport, that's what you have to do. And the only way you can do that is by taking the helmets off these guys and giving them an opportunity to have a voice. And you also have to have the right riders, because there's certain riders that you don't want to put a microphone in their face. Like they will actually cause you to lose customers. Right. They just are horrible on the mic, don't know what to say, look up into space. They're guys that end and start every sentence with or so. And then there's other guys that have media training, that are great speakers, that are personalities, that have engaging backstories. The Marquez brothers have engaging backstory. Mark has an engaging backstory coming back from injury. Pecco has an engaging backstory. Morbidelli does. There's so much. If you can get that content in front of people, people will watch it. And, they have a couple of more documentaries that are coming out. There's a Giacomo Agostini documentary that's being done right now.
Yeah.
And again, the more you know the history of the sport and how the sport has evolved, and you get it out into mainstream, you put it on Netflix, you put it on Amazon, you put it on these platforms where millions upon millions of people go there looking for content to consume, they're going to come across it. And they'll sit back and watch it. And this is how we engage new people.
Right.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And looking forward to it. But let's talk a little bit more about Moto 2. Joe Roberts signed into another 2-year deal with the American Racing Team. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Is he do you think it's well deserved? I mean, he was riding mostly injured earlier this year, so he was just really recovering, and now he's top 6 guy now.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard he's doing a little bit better, man. It's good for him to get another 2-year deal with them. I mean, when he was injured, he was out for like a good part of the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good that he's able to stay there. And I mean, if he's happy, I don't think he's going to get a shot at GP now at this point in his career, right? So it's good that he got that other 2-year deal.
Nice. What are your thoughts, Lewis?
Yeah, I think it's great to still have an American presence in motorcycle racing at the top level, even if it's in Moto 2. And, he's definitely, when he's healthy, he's got a good team behind him, he's shown that he can be competitive. This weekend he ended up top 6, top 7, something like that. I know he was in like the top 6 of the group. Him and his teammate, I think they came in like either 4th, 5th, or 5th, 6th, something like that. But that's great. That shows that
6.
Okay, so that's great. It shows that, one, they're both on now a competitive bike because they ended up, right on top of each other, 5th and 6th. And now he's back in the top 5. So that means that he is recovering from his injury as well. And hopefully now he can continue to notch up and try to start steadily ending up in that top 6 or 7. Because if you can stay in that top 6 or 7 in Moto 2, even if you stay in Moto 2, like that's great. It's visibility. It gives you a promise of a career there. You're going to keep getting contract renewals. You might get opportunities to move to an even better team at some point. And again, I want to see an American in the sport at that level.
Right.
And he's a talented guy, and I wish him the best. I hope he keeps healing up from his injuries and keeps racing the way he did this weekend, because we need people like that. We need somebody representing the stars and stripes somewhere around the world.
No, most definitely. And not to see it run away with the likes of Canet and Gonzalez, because those two guys, for the past few rounds, they were kind of running out there and kind of looking like no one was going to be able to keep up with them. But this round, a lot of other guys showed up. Dixon showed up. Ramirez, Arenas, even though he finished where he finished, he was looking pretty good in the beginning of that race.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of another American, Garrett Gerloff, he also inked a 2-year deal. So he's staying in World Superbike for another 2 years. So that's huge. Even though he's the only one on a Kawi over there, a complete Kawi.
Yeah. Oh, really? He's the only one. Say that again. He's the only one on what? On a Kawi.
On a complete Kawi.
Oh, because the other ones are combined.
Biamoda with Kawi motors.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I think he's really good fit there. I mean, if anything, maybe is there a tail end where he comes back to Moto America? I don't think so, but like, good for him, man. Another 2-year deal with them. His run with BMW was done. So I mean, I don't think he's going back there again, right? So, good for him, man. That's all I could say. Another 2-year deal locked in. It's good for him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, same here. Good to see an American continue to keep a seat in World Superbike. Hopefully Kawasaki actually puts some money into the program next year and makes the bike a little bit more competitive, because it seems like this year, like, that hasn't been the program. It's kind of just been, hey, wheel out this old shit box and do whatever you can do, and that's it, And it sucks because you can see some of the Biamodas are outperforming the Kawasaki, and I don't think it's just Garrett Gerloff being outperformed. I think it's the bike being outperformed. So Kawasaki definitely needs to do something to help him out and not just give him a bike to go and burn tires and gas with.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if they're trying to win something, because we need more manufacturers to be in these classes between MotoGP, World Superbike, even Motor America, and Kawi is a staple. Still a loved bike around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a couple in my garage.
You gotta love them, man. You gotta love them.
I don't dislike Cowie. I dislike Cowie because there was somebody I know that used to love Cowie, and I disliked him. So Cowie is just clumped up with that guy.
Collateral damage.
Well, what
Every
made you start
time-
liking me now, Lewis? I'm just kidding.
Oh no. But yeah. But I hope to see Cowie make a comeback because, for a long time, I mean, they were the dominant force in World Superbike. And to see where they're at now, I don't know what the plan is long term for Kawasaki in the sport bike market. But I would love to see them do something at some point because, again, it seems like we're losing the interest of the Japanese manufacturers in the high displacement bikes. They keep just wheeling out the same old bikes year after year and changing the paint jobs. And, unfortunately, they're going to need to do something. They're going to need to make that bite that bullet and do an investment to really try to compete again in that 1,000cc range, man, or just stop making bikes. Then just give it up. Give all the business to Ducati and BMW, and that's it.
There you go. They could have done a partnership with Ducati instead.
For years, so this, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but for years there were rumors where Suzuki and Kawasaki would merge to invest in one platform that they would both sell with different bodywork, kind of like the way that Nissan and Toyota and other manufacturers make the same car but with different bodywork. To split the development costs of developing a brand new 1,000cc superbike.
Yeah.
If they were halfway smart.
I don't know why, if you think when you said they're going to put Kawasaki and Suzuki together, I'm like, what are they going to call it, a Kia?
No. Suzuki would still sell it as a Suzuki and Cowie would still sell it as a Cowie, but they would both invest into the development costs of a new motor, a new chassis and everything else. And then the bodywork would change. So the same way that, the Infiniti Q50 and the Nissan Maxima are the same car, just with different bodywork and electronics, this bike would be that. Because that would give the opportunity for these two manufacturers that are, I mean, Kawasaki Industries is huge, but Kawasaki as a motorcycle company is smaller, and Suzuki as a motorcycle company is smaller compared to Honda and Yamaha. And
so this isn't for Yamaha. I mean, this isn't for MotoGP specifically. You're talking about?
No, this goes back to like the 90s, early 2000s that they would create this investment that they would both develop the same technology together, split the cost, and then both benefit from this new motor, this new package, because then I could create my Suzuki with my frame, swing arm, forks, and everything else. You create your Cowie with and then we both use the same motor. And on the consumer side, now if you think about it, it's the same motor. So the parts are going to be more readily available. There's going to be more parts. So it does benefit both of them by having a more competitive bike that neither one of them has to invest, $30 million into developing an entirely new package.
Right.
And then that would also at the consumer level, maybe keep even the cost of the bike down because each manufacturer individually didn't invest this much to develop the power plant. They split the cost of developing the power plant. Right. I'm always looking at the numbers. And if Kawasaki and Suzuki want to be competitive, this is a great way to be competitive and have a competitive motorcycle at a competitive price point that nobody else can touch because you're not both individually investing millions and millions of dollars. You're only investing this much.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in cars, right? I mean, I used to have an Eagle Talon. That was a DSM.
That was a Mitsubishi something.
Diamond Star Motors because it was Chrysler, Mitsubishi, and I guess Eagle was a different. I don't know what that was, but
the Toyota Supra right now.
AMC Eagle is their own spin-off for Chrysler did.
Well, the Toyota Supra right now, that's a BMW what is it? Z7 or Z8.
Right. And Lotus does that with they used to do with the Celica motor, right? They put the Celica motor in their car, I think.
Yeah.
But they just did what they do best which was frames and the way they built the motor. I mean the frame itself.
Nobody wants to make me the CEO of Kawasaki and Suzuki, so I can make this happen. Unfortunately,
No. No, I don't know about now, man. Yeah, but I don't know. It could be good.
Could be good, guys. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on, man. It's the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45. Peace.
Take care, guys.
Take care.